I'm very happy to be here in the neighborhood of my own national forest. I too am a land of many uses. I think. I'm going to read from 3 different things, and the first is a short essay from Men in the Off Hours. As Bridget mentioned, one of my missions in life is to get everybody to learn ancient Greek, so I'm going to help you begin that study this evening by means of the handout that you received when you came in, I think. This is a small poem of Alcman, who's a 7th century BC poet, and it occurs in the first essay I'm going to read. And there's a little difficulty in it, which I thought would be obscure if you couldn't see the text. I've given you my translation on top and the Greek underneath. And the Greek begins with 3 dots, an ellipse, which indicates that the editor of it thinks that something is missing. And the editors of this text think that because the verb in the first sentence has no subject. And I'll talk about that a little bit in the essay. The general explanation for such things is that it's a fragment, that is, it's incomplete, and the subject was mentioned in some part of it that's lost. But anyway, in my translation, as you can see, I put a question mark as the first word to indicate that missing subject. So that's what that question mark means. Essay on what I think about most. Error and its emotions. On the brink of error is a condition of fear. In the midst of error is a state of folly and defeat. Realizing you've made an error brings shame and remorse. Or does it? Let's look into this. Lots of people, including Aristotle, think error an interesting and valuable mental event. In his discussion of metaphor in the Rhetoric, Aristotle says there are 3 kinds of words: strange, ordinary, and metaphorical. Strange words simply puzzle us, he says. Ordinary words convey what we know already. It is from metaphor that we can get hold of something new and fresh.
Thank you for the beautiful reading. And this is a note to the audience that although I did prepare these questions in advance, Anne has not heard them. So this is a spontaneous conversation, fourth wall type situation. So I'll just...
I'll try to relax.
Try to relax. Well, one thing that I was thinking is that today we had a tour of Santa Fe and the environs, and I was just also have noticed in your work that you write a great deal about travel and pilgrimage, and there's a lot of journeying in your work, and I was wondering how your travels have impacted you and your work, and if you could talk about travel and your...
I hate travel. And I think I recognized that early on. And also that hatred throws a person into a kind of clarity that is never achieved at home in the same old overcoat. You always feel when traveling that you have the wrong clothes, and the wrong face, and the wrong accent. And it's good to dislodge all of those categories. So I remember the first trip to a very different place was a trip I took to Rome, and I wrote an essay about that, and it's so horrible that I really thought I would never leave home again. But I did learn from doing that to take notes on the horror while it's happening. And then, oh yeah, I also remember that. The reason I wrote an essay about that was because on the plane trip home, I think it was Air Italia, they had a whole lot of magazines, and the stewardess let me cut them up. And I made a kind of a storybook of the horrors of the trip. And then when I got home, I added some words to the pictures, and it turned into an essay. So, I mean, travel has these unexpected benefits.